What's up guys, Kwackajack here. 1 year, yep, 1 year ago I took the leap and purchased my first ever motorbike. It was a dealer demo 2019 Kawasaki Ninja 400 with KRT trim. It had just over 1,000 kilometers on it and I paid 6 grand for it all up. Well, 1 year later and we have done around 8,000 Ks on it and have seen and experienced a whole lot. So today I'll be bringing you my review of the Ninja 400 after 1 year of ownership. I'll talk about what I do and don't like about the bike and stay around to the end to find out if I had to make the decision again, would I re-pick the Ninja as my first bike? So first of all, let's talk about one of my favorite things about the bike, the styling. I've made it pretty clear where I stand on the styling of this bike. I love it. Especially in this KRT trim with the bold green and black colors. The sharp lines of the front make this a mean looking bike, and you could be forgiven for thinking that it was a more powerful and expensive bike when just looking at it. I also really appreciate the LED lights at the front. I mentioned in a previous video that one of my pet peeves is when a motorbike only has one headlight on normally for their driving light. When running, the Ninja has both headlights on and is definitely eye-catching on the road. I also really like the green accents on the wheels. It's just a small touch that I think really makes the bike look cool. In fact, the only thing about the Ninja 400 styling that I didn't like was the exhaust. The stock exhaust is a large black and silver pipe that I thought really stood out in an awkward way compared to the rest of the bike. I have a sound clip too of this stock exhaust on the channel if you want to know what this bike sounds like right out the gate. This small grievance though is a pretty easy fix, and as you can see I've put a Leo vent slip-on pipe on, which I think makes the bike look and definitely sound a lot meaner. Sound clip is available for this too. I always get compliments on the looks of this bike and it is definitely a head turner. Overall for the Ninja, styling is a big plus and I'd give it an 8 out of 10. Let's talk comfort and ergonomics. This is a beginner bike and definitely has an upright and stable seating position. Personally, I would prefer a slightly more aggressive seating position because I quite like the lean forward attack look when it comes to sport bikes. However, for new riders, I think that the seat is in a good spot. You can ride on it for a long time before your butt starts to get sore, and riding upright also means that there isn't too much strain on your wrists from being leaned over. I can definitely say that this bike is comfortable long distance and could make a good tourer. Speaking of touring, I'm around 6 foot or 185 centimeters. And sometimes it can be a little tight on the bike. In saying that though, I do have big legs and it's never to the point of me having to pull over and get off or anything. Just keep in mind that if you are well over 6 feet, you may feel a little cramped on the bike. When on the highway, I find that the wind usually hits me around halfway up my helmet, but you are easily able to tuck in and that eliminates pretty much all of the wind draft. Tucking in really makes you feel like you're on a proper sport bike and it feels great carving up mountain roads. When it comes to the controls, it's a fairly basic setup, but it works well. Everything is easy to reach, the speedo and gear indicator are easy to read, and you can see them in pretty much any light. I haven't ridden too many bikes, so I don't have a whole lot to compare to when it comes to clutch, but overall, I find it easy to use, and I'm always able to find my bite point. The lever also has a nice click when going up and down in the gears, and that's something I appreciate. Comfort and ergonomics are overall pretty good, but some larger riders may feel a little cramped on the bike. So I give the Ninja a score of 7 out of 10. Next up, we are looking at engine and power. I have a lot of people ask me the exact same questions. Does the Ninja have enough power for a beginner? And will I get bored of it? The answer to this is yes and no. Yes, the Ninja 400 has more than enough power for a beginner rider, or anyone that just wants a comfortable sport bike for the everyday. And I believe that pretty much all new riders will be satisfied with this bike for long after they've bought it. I've been riding it for a year, and on the road, I've never wished it had more power. The Ninja 400 has a 399cc parallel twin engine producing 44 horsepower at around 10,000 RPM. Backing that up is a 24.7 pound-feet of torque at 8,250 RPM. The bike weighs in at 169 kilograms wet, and this will push the Ninja from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in a claimed 4.5 seconds and reach a top speed of 186 kilometers an hour. So that's definitely no slouch. The Ninja 400 has enough power to keep you entertained for a long time, and more than enough power to pull away from most other vehicles at the lights, and is one of the fastest bikes in this class. Personally, I absolutely love taking it to the local mountain roads and banging it up the gears between corners. I believe that this is a real sweet spot when it comes to engine size because you can get so much out of it without going overboard. There's no way that on a twisty road you could get all the power out of a leader class or even a 600cc race bike. Another reason I chose this Ninja is because it doesn't have to have a limiter on it to be a loaner bike. Pretty much all of the 650cc loaner bikes have some sort of power limiter on them to keep the power under the required amount, and I think that would annoy me on the road. It is super satisfying pinning the throttle and letting the revs scream all the way through the range. I also find it has enough torque to never feel like it's slouching around. If you pull the throttle, you're going to be moving. For the Ninja 400's engine and power, I give it an 8.5. Now, let's talk about handling. Again, I am no professional motorbike rider, I'm no professional motorbike reviewer. However, I found that the handling on the Ninja is quite good. It is very flickable and lightweight, and that makes it a lot of fun on twisty mountain roads. The bike stays fairly planted when going through corners, and being able to scooch back in your seat to tuck in is really fun when riding hard. This bike has a lot to give, and I found that the more I rode it, the braver I got. In saying that though, I was comfortable on this bike right from the beginning. It really is a bike that you can learn and grow with, and become a really good rider. I have never taken it to a track, but have no doubt that it would be a lot of fun. I know that a lot of people actually buy these just to turn them into track day bikes. The suspension on this bike is very good, and I find myself gliding over most bumps on the road. Here you can see me riding over quite a rough part of the highway, and the bike just eats it up. It is set up for everyday street riding, and excels at that, but really feels good when riding spiritedly. The only time I felt that it could be a slightly better is when on the highway. Don't get me wrong, it is very good, and you could cover a lot of miles, but I found that because the bike is so light, that you can actually be pushed around by the wind on the highway, and you have to focus on staying in the middle of the lane, because a sudden gust of wind has the potential to move you over quite a lot, and that can be dangerous for new beginners. For the handling of the Ninja, I give it a 7 out of 10. Alright, so now the brakes. This bike comes with ABS, which is a big plus, and I think that all new riders should have this on their bike. I find that the brakes on the Ninja 400 are just okay. The big front disc on the bike provides decent stopping power, which does give you confidence when coming up to corners quite fast. However, I found the rear brake to be quite soft. It's a little spongy and I'm just not a huge fan of it. When both brakes are used together, they work fine, and I wouldn't tell anyone to not get this bike because of it. But if you're looking to use this bike on a track, I would definitely recommend getting a different rear brake to make sure that you're going onto the track with a bit more confidence. Overall, for the brakes of the Ninja, I give it a 5 out of 10. Lastly, let's talk about price and value for money. When it comes to getting a first bike, or perhaps just a comfortable everyday commuter that you can also whip around on the mountains on the weekend, I don't think you can find something better than the Ninja 400 when it comes to value. Having paid $6,000 for mine for a dealer demo bike, I am absolutely stoked with the value that I've gotten from this bike. Being able to be bought new for around 7,000 to 7,500 Australian, or used from 5,000 to 6,000, the value that you can get from this bike is pretty impressive. Considering that this is a fully equipped motorbike that comes with ABS and sharp styling, I think that the Ninja 400 is a pretty great deal. For me, price and value for money is a 9 out of 10. So to wrap things up, for a pretty great price of 6,000 to 7,000, depending on if you buy new or used, the Kawasaki Ninja 400 is absolutely a terrific motorbike. I don't want to call it a beginner bike because it wouldn't just be beginners that could get value from it. Anyone looking for a great daily commuter, a track bike that they could learn on as they go, or for someone looking to rip through their local twisty roads on the weekend, the Ninja 400 is a jack of all trades and would suit. Looking over a weak rear brake and slightly cramped seating position, the Ninja has more than enough power to keep riders entertained until they decide to upgrade to a bigger bike. If they even want to, that is. I can genuinely see this motorcycle being all that a person would ever need if they only want a daily commuter. Sharp styling, a ripper little engine, and solid handling. Overall, the Ninja got 44.5 out of 60, which gives it an average score of 7.5 out of 10. Now there are some things that I didn't mention in this video, such as transmission, and that's because I think that for most riders, they're probably not too concerned about this. I've covered the main things that I know when I was looking for a new motorbike I was looking at. So, going back to buying my first bike, I would absolutely choose the Ninja 400 again and have it as my first motorbike. I have had amazing times on it and have never regretted buying it once. I'm proud to own it and still get excited every time I ride it. Thanks again for making it to this point in the video. If you found value from this review, please leave a like and subscribe. We also have an Instagram account now where you can come and chat with me and ask me about anything motorbike related. Find me on Insta at Kwackajack_. Till next time guys, see ya!